Just a little glimpse into the sounds. Of course, shotgun is far away from everybody in case the coyotes come back out. It has a secure place, but it got moved. Listen to that wind. Mary's little art she got from Awana that she finished and we hung up. Just a reminder that he dwells with us in this tent in the middle of a field heading into week 4. The grace abounds. Strength abounds when there is a need for strength. And trust magnifies that. And there goes what we heard all night long. You feel it shake? It's a little crazy, isn't it, Mary? All is well.
All is well.
Well, good morning. I'm headed out to the land to let my chickens out so they don't beat each other up. Wow, we had a wild week last week. It ended miraculously. That's all I can say. The Lord told me almost the beginning of last week, so that would be almost a week ago. He said, there shall be no lack. I woke up. It's like where we live out there is like an open heaven. I can't even explain it. I hear the Lord pretty regular. I have since I was young. Mostly I used to hear him only through dreams, but when I say only, I don't really mean only. I love that I did. I didn't even know that was him. But I would hear things and see things that would be impossible to know unless the Lord were speaking. So, and I'm not saying every night, even though I know people that dream all night long from the Lord. A dear sister from the South that was under John Paul Jackson, right under him, many years. And I've been blessed to sit under her biblical teaching, a ministry called Above and Beyond. Anyway, she's that girl. She can take a nap and get a dream from the Lord. That's pretty cool. I've been to many of her conferences and listened and read her books and read the testimonies of how God moves in her life. But anyway, rabbit trail. Woo! Somebody just called me the rabbit girl. Anyway, just want to update y'all that are keeping up with us, what's going on. We are not getting our vlogs out regular up until right now, but right now we're going to probably load, I imagine, let's see, we are finishing out week 4 on the land. It's been a journey to go off grid. I've never done it in my life. Never in my life have I camped off grid. I've done a measure of it going camping in a pop-up for a week, but we had electrical and water hookup. But I've never hauled water, and I've never used a generator continuously for 4 weeks out of necessity. So anyway, let's jump into the update. So let's see, today is November 15th. So we're a few days shy of 4 weeks since we closed and moved on to the land. We've only had a dot or two here or there where we've not been on it, mostly at my brother's house. Had a couple of nights in a hotel and a couple of nights at my son's house. This last time that the weather, and you live in a tent, the weather matters. And if you're in the Midwest, the weather matters. We were making ground, improving our situation as the days were moving on. We've had only a handful of good days of good weather. So we had a handful at the second week mark for about 3.5 days. And then we had a handful a couple of weeks ago for about, a week and a half ago for about 3.5 days. I don't know what it is about that 3.5 days mark, but it was glorious. And if I could have sustained those temperatures and that weather and the lack of wind, we'd still be there. The hard shell camper, the camper of brotherly love that Adam is flipping for us, we are helping with our bronze, definitely not the brains. He's the brains and the bronze and the visionary. He knew we could not do this long term in a pop-up. He insisted that we have a hard shell camper. I'm like, Adam, we can't. And he's like, you will. That's a brother, man, where they insist. Anyway, thank God he insisted. I did say yes. Keith did say yes, but it was sacrificial on his part. And I've never had anybody do that for us. We've done that for other people. We've given where it was costly. We've given thousands of dollars over the years. We've given away cars, whatever. We belong to the King. He says, give, we give. I mean, I used to give and didn't ask him. And that got myself into some mess, and that was not good for my marriage. I'd give the shirt off my back from the moment I came out of the womb. My grandfather was the same way. And it wasn't learned, it was deposited by the Lord. But it had to be matured, because you can be an enabler when you give without being led of the Lord. So I don't give that way anymore. When he says there's grace for it, my butt's there. He says there's grace, go pick this person up from jail and take him in your home. My butt is there. He says there's grace to empty out half of your groceries that you just bought and take it to somebody that he told me had no food. I was like, there's grace for it, because he told me to do it. So anyway, yeah. But we've never been on the, hey, we're drowning, could you hand us a stick? I had a friend who had language for that, because my heart has just been weeping, because I'm like, I've never been so needy in my life as we've been in the last 4 weeks. Now, we landed on that land and the weather was good. I wouldn't have asked anybody for anything. And I don't have a problem asking for help. I just prefer to be the person giving the help. My grandfather was the same way, almost to the extreme. He had a hard time receiving help. I don't. I did. And I think that's kind of pride, to be honest. So, this is a Midwest Meanderings Homesteading with Holly video. I just want to talk to you a little bit about that. Don't say no to help. I mean, unless you don't need it. I mean, I had somebody offer me a camper for a few days. They were about to go out of town, but they're like, hey, we're not leaving until next week. Come stay in our camper, rest. You don't have to bounce around. And my husband and I were like, let's pray about that. And we prayed, and we're like, yeah, let's do that. And we really hear the Lord say yes, but we didn't hear the Lord say no. And then a few days later, the weather just boom. It was like the blue skies from heaven hit. The weather was perfect, and we could get a lot done on the land being there, because we had a lot to do. We still had the rest of the orchard to get in the ground. It is now 100% planted. We have 30 fruit-bearing items. Many of them are mature trees in the ground. That was no small feat, and it was done properly. So we're talking holes as wide as my car, my van, because when you've got a mature tree, if you got a tree that's worth $500, you dig a $1,000 hole. If you got a tree worth $25, you build a $100 hole. So it's important to have a really big hole when you're planting trees if you want them to prosper. And I've been keeping an orchard for almost 2 decades now. Prosperity is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for fruit. So anyway, we got back with them, and we're like, hey, thanks for the offer. You're right. It would have been an amazing resting place, and it's one of Mary's dear friends' family, and a dear, friends of ours, family. But Mary's little bestie, since birth, it was her family, and we were grateful, and we just said, hey, there's just no point. It'll be more work for us to go back and forth. The weather's good. And we appreciate the offer. I said, we might need it later, but right now we're good. So they were like, cool, we got you. And I just was grateful for the offer of help. And we've had people offer help at a time we didn't need it. We just said no. But anyway, moving forward, last week, we had some weather show up that was not predicted. The skies turned tornadic, as the local people called it. Flying to the local hardware store to get tarps, because we had water collecting somehow in our pop-up on one end, a little bit on one end. It's real important when you've got torrential rains that it is perfectly level. It's as level as anybody can make it. I mean, it's level, unbelievable level. But one end of the pop-up, it's not meant to endure what we were putting it through. And honestly, we like this pop-up. We don't want it to be destroyed. We knew early on this is a temporary dwelling until the hard shell camper is done. But the hard shell camper was a complete flip, if you know what I mean. The shell was fine. The roof was no good. The doors are no good. Well, one of the doors is okay, but it needs tweaking. The entire kitchen was completely gutted. All the walls were gutted. The ceiling was no small job. First paneling's going in. Glory to God.
Let's see if he measures right. Yeah, right.
I bet it's gonna be perfect. How about that? Look at this. A new house is going up, literally. Man, it's gonna be spiffy. It's going in.
Come up a little bit higher. Yeah.
Bless my brother, Lord. Bless my husband. Get all that insulation. And this right here is gonna have some metal reinforcement and a nice little teeny wood stove's going right there. It's gonna be one toasty cabin. You don't think so, Nations? Nope, it's going right here, your daddy said. He said this would be the perfect spot. Then we got a nice bookshelf for all Rachel's books and homeschool shelves. We got a shower. This would be an off-grid cabin. Eventually I'm going to add some solar to it. But for now, we'll hook it up. There's the master bedroom. Glory to God. We've made it into one entrance. That's dating it to the 70s for sure. Whoop, whoop. Look at all these closets. Man, we got all kinds of space in here. This is a big Hollis camper. Praise the Lord. Bunk beds are going to be here. We're keeping the window, and this bunk bed here, once the floor gets finished off, that floor is finished. But this will be, we stripped it down to the bare bones, let me tell you. But this right here will be 2 adult size, full size twin. And then above the window will be the second one. So this one you won't be able to sit on, but this one we'll use for a couch during the daytime. Isn't that nice? And yes, we have our little tarp thing out there, but we needed to put it near the camper to add some support.
Right here.
Bless the Lord. That's looking spiffy. Looking spiffy. Huh?
Is this full enough?
Yep. Hold on. If it's flat full, it's full. You gotta fill it to the top, baby. Nations, you a good helper, dude. Here, hold these for Daddy in case he needs them.
What?
That's right there. You got it? Look at that. Beautiful. Adam McKee, our good buddy, forever friend, he cranked that thing out like nobody's business. He did that even before we were even got our camping stuff set up. I mean, we're out there, but we're not even set up. And he had that like wide open. And it was like a sardine can. Like, he just got that sucker off. It wasn't that easy though. It was huge because there was like insulation. I'm like, his immune system must be amazing to endure all that mess. So, and then he put literally a roof as good as any roof on a stick-built house on there. The children were hanging from it like monkey bars. I said, is that okay? And he's like, Holly, you can put a car on this roof. And I'm like, you're amazing. And then he waterproofed it, and then it rained, and it rained, and it rained. So the rain for the camper was fine. There was not a drop of water in the camper. And I think I took a little footage of that. I'm not sure, but that might come into this vlog. I think it will, because it's part of this last week. I'm trying to make them kind of be a weekly thing. I don't know. We'll see. We got a lot of catching up, trying to organize it. We've had no Wi-Fi, and when we're in town, it's weird, but a lot of Wi-Fi connections, like at a local store, it's like strange, but like it's not as easy to do. I haven't even tried it. Like, it used to be you go to a Starbucks and you can hook up to their Wi-Fi and do anything you want, and I guess you still could at Starbucks. I wasn't at Starbucks, but I was just at other places. I was like getting on the free Wi-Fi, and it wouldn't work for nothing. I'm not a techie girl, seriously. If my daughter were not editing and recording and doing the things she's doing, this channel would not be happening. I mean, the Lord told us to do it, and he said that my family would come together and help me. And I mean, Daniel's the reason that we got some of our first videos loaded, because he's teaching Rachel as we're going. Rachel knew nothing. And then she had a friend, Olivia Tanner. Her dad's the one that did our floor plans, and he's the one covering this operation as far as building. He's a master builder. He's an engineer. He's brilliant, smart, amazing. And he's a friend of Jesus and mine and our families. And his whole family, our whole family. Like, they're precious. Their daughters, older daughters especially, my daughter and them are just long forever friends. We've been friends for almost the whole time we've lived here. Anyway, he was another one who said, you cannot live in a pop-up all winter. And I'm like, yeah, we can. We'll put hay bales. I've watched videos, I've seen people. And he's like, that's hard shell campers, Holly. I'm like, well, I've seen this thing hold up to a lot. And he's like, no. Thank God, right? For friends that get in your face, wounds of a friend heal. They weren't even trying to wound us. They were just like, we love you too much to not tell you the truth. Like, so, before we even get out here, we're like, okay, yeah, we believe you, okay. But, we'll have at least a couple months of good weather that we can, like, get the hard shell camper ready and get a little bit of experience under our belt off gridding. Oh, I can't wait till we get out here. Once we get on W Highway, it's so pretty. I think I did a video that hasn't been posted yet where you get to see the beauty. I think we're kind of past peak with fall, but the colors out here have been gorgeous. The sunsets have been gorgeous. All right, so let me see. Where did I leave off? I'm like rabbit trailing everywhere, but thanks for whoever's sticking with me. If you are, give me a thumbs up in the comments. Say, hey, I stuck with you, Holly. I got to this part. I get like bonus points. Oh, but the Lord told me, I know I shared that in one of the previous videos that'll be out soon. He told me to share the journey, the ups, the downs, everything in between. He said there's other people, you're forerunning, you're pioneering something, Holly. People are going to step out, encourage, and hear me and obey me and do very similar things. Get off grid, get out of the city. I'm not trying to scare anybody. I know there's lots of censoring going on with canning groups, elderberry groups that are getting taken down, prepper groups that are getting taken down. Facebook is petitioning them and saying, are you afraid? Are there people over prepping and they're scaring you with their posts? You let us know. We'll help you. I mean, are y'all hearing about that? If you are, please let me know in the comments below you're hearing this. But I've had people from all over sending me screenshots of messages that are getting sent to people, or they're not able to find information. It's just homesteading, people. America's been doing this in the beginning. Good grief. The whole country, the world is. It's not like something new. What's wrong with, getting on land and learning how to buckle down and figure all this stuff out? I mean, I don't know how to do everything, but I'm learning, and I know how to do a lot of things. I can put anything in the ground and make it grow. I can keep animals and keep them alive. I don't lose them. I know how to make them thrive. I give them fermented food. I give us fermented food. Maybe not much in the last 4 weeks. We take our probiotics. What we'll be doing the last 4 weeks. All right, now we're on the scenic part. I know a lot of the trees here, there's a few of them that are still pretty, but it might not be so scenic. Winter got here fast. So this is an RV park near us, and there's hay bales all around those hard shell RVs. We will be doing that, let me tell you. I'll be loading up on some cheap hay bales that we'll eventually use for the chickens or composting, or we're planning on getting a couple cooney pigs from friends. I think we're getting closer to that now. We've made some purchases for that, towards that. We just had to get out of the crisis mode first. Okay, so I didn't tell you about the miracle on 54th Street. So anyway, we fled to my brother's. We didn't flee, but it felt like a flea. So we had rain like crazy. The girls' side, we had blankets that we tucked just to kind of insulate it a bit from the cold. And we have heaters in there. We've stayed toasty. We've never stayed in that pop-up and it didn't stay warm. I mean, we have gone down to the low 20s and been able to stay totally fine. But rain is just different, and wind is, we're not gonna talk about the wind yet. I'm gonna get to the wind in a minute. But the rain, it just came in and it was level and it was all we could do. So we're just like, we can't fix this. We'll put tarps up. So we have friends who just came from an Air Creek conference, Shannon and Mike from Texas. I'm gonna put some pictures of my kids with them at this point. Let's see, we're at 15 minutes. I'll tell Rachel to pop those pictures up. They're like, how's it going? She's like, are you coming to the ladies meeting tonight? I'm like, this was last Thursday. Today's Monday. I was like, Shannon, I'd love to come. I know Jessica Lima, she's awesome. I want to hear her speak. I've known her for years. She's amazing. I said, girl, we're in survival mode. She's like, oh no, what's going on? I'm like, weather that we weren't expecting. The rain we were expecting, but it came into the pop-up. We can't do, I don't even know what to do. She's like, honey, we'll help you. I'm like, I need to go buy tarps. I just got to go buy tarps because I know the rain's going to keep coming. And she's like, we're coming. And I'm like, what do you mean you're coming? She's like, we're coming. And I'm like, are you kidding? Like right now? Like it's in the middle of the day. They're working. And she's like, no, we're coming. And they literally got into their truck or their car, and brought rebar, brought everything they've got, twine, rope, they just spent weeks in Texas with 50-mile-an-hour winds. They're like, we know how to do this. Because they camped doing an Aircrete conference. And I'm like, yes, I accept your help. I'm running to the hardware store to get tarps. And I'm on the phone with my husband on the way, and I'm like, babe, I don't even know what kind of tarps. Me and the girls are in the car. I said, you should see the sky. I said, it's turning pitch black, and it's starting to get that green look to it, which means tornadoes. We're in the Midwest. This happens. It never happens in the fall. Kid you not. We are going on our 11th year here, and never in the fall. Spring, yeah, you expect this, but not in the fall, and not again. So here we are doing this again. And the sky looked crazy. And matter of fact, at this point, let's see, 17 minutes. I'll put some pictures of that crazy up here. Wow. Oh my goodness. So, and at one point, we're going down Main Street and about to get to the hardware store. And this amazing, gorgeous rainbow just pops up in the sky. Just like it just pops up. And I said, girls, we're driving into the promises of God. I said, he's got our family. This looks like crazy. And I don't remember if I mentioned that earlier on in this, but just before the rain and the rainbow and the crazy sky, the morning before, and like I said, out here in this area, open heaven, there's a ministry 5 miles from us that we've been a part of in the past, like just once. We went for a weekend. It was amazing. It's pretty far away though, so we haven't been back out here again, but we stayed a weekend for some inner healing and stuff. It was like amazing. And they live out here, and they do ministry to people coming out of crazy crisis. I mean, like crazy crisis. And they like house them and teach them how to farm and homestead. It's like, so I have my girlfriend who knew about this area. She's like, oh, there's an open heaven out there. And I'm like talking to her, and I'm like, yeah, there really is. Like, I hear the Lord more than I've ever heard him since I've lived in the Midwest, since we moved out here. And I said, but there's a ministry like 5 miles from my house. And I said, they're contending for the kingdom of God. And I'm telling her about it. She's like, Holly, I've never heard of this ministry. So I'm telling her the name of it. I don't want to go into any details of that, because they do minister to people coming out of crisis on steroids, like that kind of crisis. So I told her, I said, I'm not, I'm on here. I'm not going to say the name because I don't want it to get any attention. But anyway, I gave her the name. She's like, I'm going out there. And I'm like, oh, they'll minister to you. They love the body. They have regular meetings and worship and so anyway, I'm definitely going to be going to hang out with them in a bit, but I got to still get things a little under our belt. So anyway, so there's the rain. They come out. We tarp everything to death. I mean, our tent's up, and it's getting water in like a few gallons every time it rains. And I mean, there's not too many ways to get that up except dry it up with a towel, hang up the towel, hope the towel gets to dry eventually, because the towel, the tent has like a pretty big lip, so there's like no way to sweep it out. It's fun. It's fun. I mean, washing dishes, to wash your face, you put water on the propane or you heat it up in the Kelly kettle. If you ever heard of a Kelly kettle, I told Rachel I would do a video with that just to show people a Kelly kettle. You got to get one of these things. They're awesome. But it's like a rocket stove idea. But it's got hollow walls that hold probably about 1.5 quarts of water. I think there's different sizes. We have a smaller one. And you feed twigs or whatever you want to the bottom. You can feed it from the top. And it's hollow, and the fire will even come all the way up to the top. It's pretty impressive. And then the water inside the walls heat up, and you just pour it like a kettle. But you also have a little thing you can put on top, and you can cook some eggs and put a small little saucer and heat up some beans. Totally great. Off-grid amazingness kind of little thing. And we love using it. We always take it with us camping. It's fun. The kids love it. We always take a propane stuff, and because I'm usually trying to cook a good meal and things like that. So it's a little hard to cook a meal for a bigger family on that. But you could do it. I totally could do it. But I just use my little propane stove that's hooked up to a big propane tank. And you heat up water to wash your face and wash your body, because we do like basin washing in between our twice-a-week trip into town with my brother's house. We've been he's the twice-a-week shower, or 3 times a week if need be. But twice a week's fine. I know I mentioned that in another video. You can do this, people. Trust me. Nursing homes only bathe their people 2 or 3 times a week. And you can do basin washing in between, carefully, drying off really well, being mindful. You can wash your hair in a basin over a table. I mean, I know I've had so many people go, what are you doing for laundry? I'm like, you ever heard of a laundromat, right? And I mean, you can, if you want to do it out where you're at, You can totally they have little off-grid washers that you can either manually like spin, to wash, or friction, or you can just go old school with a little washboard and soap, and it's totally doable. Totally doable. I'm serious. Like, don't figure you can't do this because it's too hard. Now, if you can't handle too hard, you never do this. But I've been striving and desiring to learn how to homestead, learn how to do things off grid. I want this. And my husband's so funny. He's never really been terribly interested, but he always thought it was like not a bad hobby that I've had, that I like to grow things. My grandfather was the best gardener you ever meet. He could grow anything. He was so amazing. People wanted his seed. Like, people from the whole region of where we lived in Georgia would buy his seed for peppers, because he would collect them, and he would not just collect them, but he would breed them to make them hotter every year. And anyway, his name was Woodrow Wilson Everett, but we called him Papa. And he's been gardening for Jesus and fixing him coffee every day, I'm certain, since he passed away when I was in my 20s. But anyway, too long ago. I've lived too long without my Papa. I miss him so terribly. He was Jesus with skin on more than any person I've ever met in my life. Alrighty, so water in the pop-up. And then the tornadic sky. Friends get here while we're coming back, because it's, we're headed into town for us here, which is about 15 minutes and 15, whatever. So we were gone a good 25 minutes or so, getting the tarps and some more twine. And I'm on the phone. I'm like, my husband, I'm like, I have no idea what size to get. He said, and I'm on the phone. He's like, get this size. So I got three of the biggest things they made. There was one that was bigger, but we're talking like $100. I'm like, yeah, we're not getting that one. And this was to shore up the tent and to get the pop-up not to collect water. And anyway, the sky was so crazy that I wasn't even sure I wanted to go home. But I knew my friends were coming. I knew they'd be there soon. And I'm like, okay, we're just going to go back. We're just declaring, and we did this before we left the land. We just said no tornado will touch down. We declared the storm will pass over us. And literally, as we drive back to our land, we come back to perfectly blue skies. Perfectly blue. And I was like, Jesus, thank you. And I'm like, hoping and believing it's like for good. So we go ahead and get the pop-up waterproofed. We try to make like a little bit of an awning to try and set it up to have like an outdoor kitchen closer to the pop-up. As we're going to be finishing off the camper in the next few weeks. Adam works full time. He's been coming here in the evening after he gets off work, or he has a day off, or he hits us on the weekend. I mean, he's given us every bit of free time he's got, which I just told him the last time he was here. I'm like, don't come back. You need to take a week off. Go be with your family. He's so faithful to his family and to us. Goodness, I don't know. There's not many people like him on the planet. I'm just telling you. I'll be honest with you. I'm not even gonna joke. I'm not even as much as generous as I am. I'll be honest with you. He rivals that. And I'm generous because it's just I love to. It's all from him. It doesn't belong to me. And Keith, to be honest, has become the most generous husband in the world. He is incredible, but he wasn't in the early years. We've been married almost 36 years. Ooh, them early years, man, we had some conflict, and it was my fault. I didn't come under his authority. Now, that wasn't his thing. He didn't understand that. That was just not deposited. That was nothing he had a grid for. And we've grown up in love together. That's all I can tell you. We'll just leave it at that. So anyway, moving along. Rain. Waterproofing, everything, rebarb everywhere, T-post everywhere, tarps everywhere. By the time we're done, it's dark. Keith gets there for the last finale, about the last hour or so of what we did, but we were at it for like a good 2.5 hours. And then Keith gets there, and he and Mike finish off, and Shannon and I defrost a little bit in the van. The kids are having a blast inside. Just a blast, absolute blast. She brought, I'm trying to think which time, because they've come out multiple times. She brought, this was the last time she came out. What did we do last time? I'm trying to think. Oh, yep. that'll be another time. We might tag that onto this one because it's also part of this week. Yep, they were out again this week. Okay, so then the sun went down. The sun went down on my part of town. Have y'all seen those reels everywhere? They're everywhere. Some of them are darn cute. Some of them I'm like, y'all should go back to your day job. I would be that girl. I'm not gonna do it. But it's so cute. I got it reeling in my head because I follow a lot of homesteaders. Not near enough because I need to learn from these folks. But we're not really at the homesteading point. We're freaking pioneering, living off-grid in the middle of the land while we're building. And everybody's like, well, why don't you just rent? Okay, let's think about it from this point of view. We took all of our increase, because you have to put 20 to 25% down. We put 25% down because it was required, because we don't use credit cards. And if you don't use credit cards, you have a very low credit score. You can pay your bills perfectly for 5 years. They don't even go back beyond, I think, 3. They're like, you don't have a late bill for like 5 years, 3 years. I'm like, no, we pay our bills on time. And they're like, but your credit score is blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, we don't really use credit cards. And we actually did use a couple of them this summer, but they're such low limits, like $400, $300. We used a couple of those because we went out of town, and Rachel and I went to Kona. So anybody who hasn't seen those videos, check out our playlist. I don't know if I made a playlist for Kona, but I should have, but it's been busy since we got back from Kona. But so we just, that was all paid for in advance. So we had a few extra expenses while we were gone, more than we had anticipated, because water costs more in Hawaii than gasoline, which is kind of surprising because gasoline is so expensive. Gasoline's $5 a gallon in Hawaii, but the water was $5.50 a gallon in Hawaii. So extra expenses. Yep. Next time, bring a filter. If you go to Hawaii, you bring a filter. You do not pay for water. That's the only thing I didn't think about. Oh goodness, this is so long. What is this? 28 minutes long? I gotta wind this baby up. Okay, so here we go. We are ready for the wind, because that's when it really hits the worst, is at night. And the worst wind we had ever seen was 30, I think it was like 25 to 30 miles per hour. And that was crazy. It was like knocking us down, knocking down our stuff and making our tent fall. Oh no, not this night. This night we surpassed 40 miles per hour. Now we're in the middle of a prairie at the top of a hill with no trees. So any wind app that you have, ours was the closest ours was about 5 miles away, and it was saying we were getting wind gusts up to 40 to 45 miles per hour. But we were most likely a good 10 surpassing that. Pop-ups are only supposed to go to 40 miles per hour wind. Nothing beyond that. They dehinge. The funny thing is, this night my family goes to sleep. I fall asleep for about an hour and a half, and I wake up to the sounds of 45 mile per hour with gusts probably up to 50 or more, whipping and beating this pop-up to death. The whole thing twice lifted. It didn't flip, but it should have flipped. All I can say is the angel of the Lord was encamped around those who fear the Lord, and he delivered us all. Jesus. So twice I felt that. The whole family is sound to sleep. We're exhausted. I mean, we have worked our butts off, but I am the princess in the pea. I don't sleep through tornadic winds in the middle of the night, whipping and beating the tarps to death. So finally, I try to doze back off, and around 3:19, I hear what sounds like a freight train. And when you hear a freight train and you live in the Midwest, it's time to get in the bunker. We don't have a bunker. Oh, we didn't have a house. So anyway, we're hearing the tornadic winds. I say we because I'm thinking Keith's already out there. I saw what looked like a flashlight outside. So I'm like, oh gosh, Keith's out there trying to deal with this. Let me go out there and help him. And I go out. He's nowhere to be found. He's actually still asleep. They're all still asleep. The big mega tarps that we had put over the pop-up, we had left a lip to make it pop-ups are pretty high. I don't know how to explain it. If you've seen a pop-up, you understand. So we didn't take it all the way to the ceiling. We took it to the lower part, but we had it up just so we could have a little bit of an awning to do kitchen work, washing dishes, not in the rain. And we hadn't done that. So when it's raining, the dishes wait until it stops raining, is all I can tell you. And we were doing paper plates. We did that the first 2 weeks, but after that, I'm like, y'all, we are not killing every tree on the planet, and we're not doing that anymore. We are using dishes for everything. Oh my gosh. So anyway, oh wow. So the cords on 2 of them had popped, so that's what I was hearing. It was beating and whipping, and that was what was pulling the pop up and giving it more leverage to flip it. So I'm like, oh, we got to cut these cords. We got to cut these cords. Oh God, where are the scissors? We lost the scissors the night before because we cut so many cords that night before with Mike and Shannon and Keith that somewhere they got somewhere on the ground. I'm like looking, I'm like, okay, all I got is a flashlight on my phone because I didn't grab the other flashlight. I'm just grabbing my phone, realizing what time it was. I'm like, oh my gosh, we got to get this under control. This is going to wake the kids up. And I'm thinking Keith's out there. And I'm like, I don't know where that light came from because y'all were in the middle of the field. So who knows? So I'm out there just going into autopilot zone. I'm praying. I'm like, Jesus, protect my family. Jesus, protect me. Jesus, show me what to do. I don't even know what to do. And I can just feel in my spirit, cut the cords, cut the cords, cut the cords. The thing's going to flip. So I'm cutting the cords. I found a saw that I use to cut branches on my, and trim trees. And I found, so I'm cutting the cords. And I mean, when I'm cutting them, the 20-foot tarps are waving up in the wind straight up to the heavens. And then I got them tucked down underneath so they wouldn't keep whipping. The tent was about to go under. I went and tried to shore up the walls again because the poles were going down. The tarps were up, but they were starting to part like the Red Sea down the middle, which meant if we had rain, my homeschool stuff, which was in the middle, I had them covered with plastic, but they were in the middle on top of tables in bins, but you know, yeah. And I mean, that's my whole curriculum for the year. I just could not lose that no matter what. And I had no strength nor alertness of mind to solve this. Cause I mean, I had not slept the night before, hardly, but this night, not at all. So anyway, I was like, okay, Jesus, I'm done. I'm done. And I actually put a post up on Facebook and it articulated, I'm done. Took a picture of the sky. And I'm like, I'm not doing this anymore. I don't even think you want me to do this anymore, and I don't know what to do. So we reached out to my brother. He's like, yes, come, bring your stuff. And Keith's like, I'm not staying. I'm going back out to the land. I'm going to finish demoing that camper, and I'm going to finish it this weekend, and I'm not going to stop. And I'm like, babe, like, you know, I know you can do this, but like, this is not your given trade. And I'm like, I don't really even want the materials that we would have to buy to be ruined, you know, or at least not ruined, but just like not waterproof, not all the way around the window or in the corners. And he's like, no, I'm going to do it. And this was the time off that we had insisted Adam had, and he already said he needed it. And I'm like, no, I'm with you. You didn't say it. I was going to say it, and I'm amening it. So we're not even dialoguing with him except, hey, what do we need to buy? And so he's telling Keith what to buy. Keith can't even find the right size stuff. He's only able to find the thinner stuff. And so he finishes the demo, and he goes back out Friday night, and he gets all that done. It's still not swept out. We're going to go back out tonight to do that. Pardon me. So yeah, I'm about done with water bottles, but it's still kind of in that mode. We're not quite in that mode now. So anyway, let me get you to the miracle part. I put a post up on Facebook, just like, y'all please pray. Just pray. I don't even know what to do, but I don't even know what to do. Keith's going to try to work all weekend long to get this camper kind of livable. I'm talking so the floor doesn't cave in when you walk on it. We'll put a tarp down and an air mattress down and get the girls in there. But it's like, you know, it had water damage like crazy. So it really needs to be treated for black mold. Mary's already had an asthmatic attack. Just the wind is so crazy. So she's already had jet neb treatments. We normally don't even have to go there, but our immune system is just not, you know, we're not sleeping enough. We're not eating enough of the right foods. And normally she does not have this much trouble at this time of year. But anyway, thank God we did have some jet neb. We normally just load her up with turmeric supreme by Gaia Herbs. That stuff is amazing for its anti-inflammatory effect. Anyway, long story short, yeah, let's see if we can wind this down. I'm like, you know, babe, do what you think you need to do. So we stayed at my brother's. It was like peace on steroids. He's had worship on, and we giggled, we laughed, and I am going to turn around. I was going to go grab something on my way, but I think I'm going to go ahead and head to the land first. So pardon me as I turn around and pay attention to what I'm doing. I know, I'm sure there's got to be some beautiful stuff you're seeing, because I'm seeing it. I don't know if you can see it through the camera. Anyway, so he's like, I'm not coming back. I'm staying. Anyway, so we're coming out to the land just to unload, because the tent's going down. The pop-up needs to be taken down. You know, we were actually going to stay out there in the pop-up the next couple of nights until it's finished, if the wind, because I finally got a wind app a weather app, but it's just specifically for wind. Also, that's the main thing. And the wind was supposed to die down and stay down for the next 3 days. So we're going to stay in the pop-up Saturday and Sunday night until hopefully he got that kind of livable. We have an air purifier. We're just going to put that in and just pray, you know, because the good Lord's got us. We've never stopped praying. We've just calling on his name and saying, Jesus, help. You are our help. And honestly, in my mind, I'm imagining how I think the help needs to come and even what avenue. And the Lord's like, there shall be no lack. There shall be no lack. I am yours and you are mine. You know, just out of Song of Solomon, you know, I belong to him. And when you belong to the King and your trust is in him, because there's a lot of people that say they trust him and they call upon his name, but you know, when it doesn't get tested out hard, you know what I mean? Like testing it out hard is something. This is something. I mean, I've never, and I'm not telling you Jesus is going to tell you to go take your family in the middle of a field. I think I mentioned that, like, what would it cost to rent while you're building? Well, we've done that before. This is our third build in 36 years. And the last time we did it, we rented while we built. Well, actually, both times we did. But the first time we were in a lower cost rental. The second time we knew it was only going to take 6 months. So we rented an apartment and we lived there while we built. Very costly because you're still paying the bank loan for your construction loan. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, if you've got the resources to pay double rent, then I highly recommend you do that. We did not. Oh my gosh, isn't this pretty? I just went all the way to 2 Highway and I was going to go and get something, but I'm just going to head straight to the land. But this little windy path here is just like, I'm a Midwest meander. I love windy roads. Not too windy, they're dangerous, but this one's like gorgeous. Anyway, Keith came out, demoed. I was talking about the whole rental thing, trying to do dual. It's hard, and we're in the middle of a downsizing with Keith's work because of the no jab. He's making his own healthcare choices. It has cost him very costly. Thankfully, he's good at finding work. He already had one job that was very part-time. That has picked up, but we had that layover time. So we knew we needed our expenses to overall downshift. So, you know, if you got resources to do it that way, man, rent, feel free. Don't do it this way. But if that's not your situation, then hopefully this is going to add some strength and help you. I don't know. It may not look that way at all. It may not add strength at all. So anyway, oh, that's cool. I'm passing our land. It's right here. This is where our access road is going to go right there. I know you can't see it, but I'm pointing at least. And I see some of our stuff still standing. Some of it is not. So the main tent that we've had for storage, that's going down in the next couple of days. It's kind of probably already down, but it's nearly empty. Okay, let me get on this road. It's going to be loud. Let me see if I can make it not too loud. So anyway, I don't mean for this to be so long, but this has been a really intense week. So anyway, the winds were from hell. That's all I can tell you. Winds from hell. It was unbelievable. I knew when, you know, all the crisis intervention was done about 5:30 that morning. The kids woke up miraculously, not for another 30 minutes, so they didn't wake up till 6. But I knew I was done. I was like, I'm done. I don't even know what to do. We ended up at my brother's that night, moving everything off of the land, and put the post up on Facebook. And a precious sister of ours, I won't mention her name because I know she wouldn't want me to, who's actually been one of my longest YouTube followers. So she was like, when I started with the other YouTube channel, she was one of my first subscribers. Like when we were only under 100 or something. She was one of the first people. I think that channel is probably upward. All my last videos got removed from there and brought over to this channel recently, just a few months ago. But I think that channel's, I don't know, I haven't checked in a bit. But it's probably close to 100,000 subscribers. A lot of them, I think, not all of them, of course, but a good number of them came in through my holistic series. But anyway, she reached out to me and she said, Holly, I'm weeping. I'm looking at your post on Facebook. And she's like, how can I help? And she said, actually, I already know how I can help, but I just need you not to say no. And I'm like, let's see. Well, part of the tent's still up. Yay, glory to God. I need you to say yes. And I'm like, well, what am I saying yes to? And she's like, she said, I have a 3-bedroom home and I was just talking to the Lord about it, and I want you to stay here. I'm going to move out and stay with my family, and I want you to come stay here until things are stable on your land. She said, and there's no timeline. She said, however long you need. And so we said yes. And that's where we have rested for the last 2 days. So grateful from the Lord. Above and beyond anything I could have asked for. I would have never dreamed that. I would have just been grateful for a little hole with a roof and you can't hear all the wind, and a mattress on the ground, and a bathroom with running water. That's like bonus points, you know. But she literally moved out and moved us in. So we've been moving in over the last 48 hours, and it's been a resting place. My girls have finally gotten back. We're actually doing like quadruple core school for the next week, and just getting caught up, because it's just been like survival out here, and it's been really, really hard. And I just had that in my mind over and over in my spirit, just there shall be no lack. And I knew it was my King, and I knew he was saying, I have you, Holly. And this provision has been above and beyond. It's been overwhelming. We immediately felt the rest and the peace of God, and we knew it was his hand. So that means that Adam will be able to finish the camper properly. Keith can be his sidekick and learning how to do all this stuff, because he can build fences, he can build a greenhouse with me, he can build gates, but he's never put up a wall, and he's never put down a floor. And he's done demo before, demolition, when I say demo. Anyway, yeah, I am blessed, and I'm favored, and I'm loved, and I've seen, and I feel the kindness of the Lord. And I've really had to go through some struggles, because I've had some offenses in my heart. I've had times where I just thought somebody could offer a stick. I'm drowning. Our family's drowning, and we've had a lot of people, so don't even think for a moment. We've not had tons of people, but I don't know what I thought it would look like. I don't know. But community is important, and honestly, don't assume or presume that just because, you know, the scriptures say, do to others what you would have them do to you. But you can't presume that even though you've done unto others, you should not presume that others should do back to you what you've done to them. And that was the hole that I fell into. And when you do that, you've put expectations on somebody or people or individuals that it's not fair. Like you've put your expectations so high that when they fall, you're disappointed, and offense can come into your heart. And I grabbed onto that just a bit, and I bled for a bit. And I had a couple of days in the last 4 weeks where all I can say, it was a dark night of the soul, and all I did was weep and ache and moan and just go, God, I don't understand. And I felt like even like my sister and Sharon and my brother and a couple of close sisters that are just very prophetic and just were hearing the Lord. And one's a new friend. That's the one that's come out and helped us more than a couple times out here. They actually helped us put up that thing right there. If you can see it, it's yellow. Can you see it? Hopefully I got that right. Let's see. Oh, don't look at my dirty car. Anyway, I'll try and turn that around and give you a better view of that, so that we have something that is winterized. So this is a garage that's meant to hold up to Wisconsin winters, to put things in, like Keith's tools. And when we come into the camper, we're going to need storage, because if we put everything in that camper, we're not going to be able to move around. But it's a big camper, so I'm not feeling at all that I'm going to be cramped in there. And we can't wait to be in the camper, but we want to get it done properly and it not be dangerous for Mary, for any of us. I don't think we'd fall through anything. I know Keith would not let that happen, but I really do want to treat the mold before we put new walls up. And I know Adam knows how to do all of that. He's done it before. So anyway, blah, blah, blah. Here we are, closing out week 4 on the land, living actually about 20 minutes. Let's see, this would be east, so it would be south of here. In a beautiful home on 7th Street. Kindness of the Lord among the land of the living. So I just pray over those who are stepping out to pioneer, and I don't even know. I've had people tell me that over and over. It's like, Holly, you're pioneering. And I'm like, I don't know what we're pioneering, but I trust God, and I believe he's going to take care of us, and I believe he's telling me he's going to take care of us. And it's been extravagant. And it's not just been one hand or another heart or this heart. It's been the Lord. And even the friend that received us into her home, she said, Holly, this is God. I just asked the Lord Saturday morning. She's like, God, why do I have this big home? I'm just one person. I mean, she has her grandchildren that come over, so she has the little room set up sweet. And she says, but use this for your glory. Use this for your kingdom. Show me how I can serve you. And she just loves the Lord. She loves so well. And then she sees my post a few hours later, and she reaches out to me and calls me. And honestly, we were sitting on the side of the road, because we had stopped to try and find something in the car, because our car is kind of like it's a moving house. It's like it has food in it, it's homeschool stuff in it, it's like everything, but it's pretty organized, so we know where everything is. But we needed to get something else, so we had to stop. And I wouldn't have answered the phone had we not stopped. And I would have called her back. But it was just so glorious to get this call. And she's like, you just can't say no. Don't say no. And I'm saying, no to what? And then she tells me, and I'm like, oh, you have our yes. Oh my gosh, this is the Lord. So anyway, we have a resting place while the camper is finished properly. And glory to God. Thanksgiving and Christmas keeps coming early for me. I bless you. Thank you for coming into our Midwest Meanderings and Homesteading with Holly. End time bride formation is what the Lord has called what we are seeing happen. There is Mighty Mike and Mighty Keith putting up a mighty garage for our outdoor storage kitchen. Hold everything, it won't blow away. Praise Jesus for deep, deep, deep anchors and a warranty. And there's the beloved wife, Shannon, amazing woman of God. And the kids are in the warm pop-up, having a melodious time making gingerbread houses. Oh, it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. Bless the Lord, oh my soul. Thank you, Jesus. I'm getting back into the warm car.
These chickens.
Look at these awesome men. We're sitting in the car keeping warm, but they're amazing. All right. Big giant tent carport number 2 put up. This is Chloe. She's a Great Pyrenees, and these are the bunnies that are going to go in there because they have babies in their belly. This is their warm place they're going to stay. Shannon and Mike helped us, and we asked, can we help y'all put y'all's up? So these are supposed to be winterproof. Good reviews. So in Jesus' name, we believe it. There we go. Soup's in the house waiting on us. There we go. Amen. We just gathered up some waste to put around my trees at the orchard from the rabbits. Organic poo, rocks, woo woo.
There you go. Yay!
Yay! Go, Mary!
Okay, so wipe them off. Wipe off the ends.
So it won't be
and then
wet.
Switch. So
Switcheroo!
the small, no.
My goodness. What a beautiful sunset on a miraculous day. Whew, it's gorgeous out here. Tent village is going down. Getting fencing for the animals. And God is good. All the time.
know.
That's why Dom, his dog, the Rich's dog, it was like, girl, calm down. You're a neighbor.
I know, she was scaring me.